NRL Fantasy buy, hold, sell for round 4 is back, and this is a big one. Really tough round for buys and sells. A lot of guys on the fence this week in terms of whether you should sell them, but at the end of the day, it feels like you just have to get Payne Haas no matter what you do. Welcome back, guys, and welcome back, Biz, as well. You were away in Madagascar last week. How was your trip?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Not much internet out there. Couldn't podcast very well. That's a lie. The internet was fine. I'm just talking it up. But a lot of fun. Back now, back on deck. And I don't have Payne Haas in my team, so I'm going to have to find a way to get him in. And a lot of keepers are injured or on bye this week. So is it a case where I trade a keeper to a keeper? Still figuring it out. But hopefully this episode of Buy, Hold, Sell helps me clear the waters a bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few ways to get to him. One of them, of course, is by cashing down someone to the GOAT, Brendan Piakura, and then upgrading to Payne Haas. But we'll talk about that when we get up to Brendan Piakura, who is unironically a part of this show this week. Now, buys, Payne Haas. Look, I'm going to speak about this one first. I added up the numbers for Payne Haas this year. So pure tackles, run meters, offloads, and tackle breaks. His average in those stats alone would be an 83 this year. So he is just on this historic run. Throwing a try assist and a try in there too, and that's bumped up the scores a bit. But the base stats are just transcendent. Like I know you guys know, I know you know Biz. Like I know everyone knows about this. 949K. He's gone up about 70K last week. He should shoot up above 1 million this week. I'm feeling like you've got two options here. And look, the standard advice is you have to go get Payne Haas. You have to buy him. Of course you do, right? He is absolutely dominating the field. And Cleary's out injured now as well. But the other option, the other strategy, and I'm not recommending it, I'm keen to get your thoughts on this, Biz, is that you just anti-pod him at this stage. And it feels insane. It feels like it's only maybe a 10% chance of working, right? So it's a real long shot. But if you've missed out already on these scores, an anti-pod play where you use your money elsewhere and just try to do something different, much like the people who anti-podded Cleary, which felt like a crazy move at the start of this year, it could pay off. And it could be a strategy that works. Is that something that you're considering right now, Biz?
I've considered it. There's a lot of good value options this week, which we'll go through. The problem is, though, look, he's hard to ignore. I mean, his minutes have been going up every week, 49 into 57 into 71. He's just coming off surgery, so it makes sense. They're amping up his minutes. He doesn't look like he gets tired. He's been observing Ramadan, so arguably he's only going to get fitter and more success on the field. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that's a secret. But he's just a machine. And I think it was, in my opinion, objectively not the right call to start him this year with the new coach, high price, surgery in the offseason. But I think after watching the first 2 weeks, you had to pretty much get him in. I mean, every game I've watched, he looks to offload every run this year. And it has 3 weeks in a row, it has to be match instruction, right? Like go into the tackle, look to offload. No one can ever get this guy down. So last week, he could have had a monumental 130-plus score because some of his offloads went to ground. He had a try called back for a double movement. Like this 106 could have been 130. And he didn't have a game where it was transcendent. Like he had a Payne Haas performance, and he just looks better than ever. I don't think I could anti-pod him. I think I've seen it maybe 5 years ago, but after seeing Cleary average 90 for a season, Turbo average like 85 for a season, this is the Payne Haas 80-plus season, and the only thing that can derail him is injury. So unless you think he's going to get injured from the workload, I think you have to get him in. I guess it's the truth of the situation, I reckon.
I agree. I still reckon, though, it's a low percentage play. But like what you mentioned there, injury, right? So he had a surgery in the preseason. He's had a few niggles here and there. That's the one thing that could derail him. And if you anti-pod it at this stage, maybe you get something out of that. But I'm with you there. He is unstoppable. Dolphins this week as well. So a middle forward rotation that has Tom Gilbert, Dan Safidi, Felice Kafusi, and Jeremy Marshall-King. None of those guys are standing up to Payne Haas. So he could easily just tear out another big score. And I will mention the try he scored last week. It was late in the game. So like you said, he's not getting tired. He is ramping up. When everyone else gets tired, he steps up. So, yeah, you've really got to find a way to get him in. And I'm okay with selling 2 guns and getting a mid-ranger and Payne Haas at this stage. Like, you sort of have to do it. For me, last week, I went Hosking and Dylan Lucas for Payne Haas and Stafford Toa. pocketed extra cash. I'm trying to use that cash this week and some of these other guys we're talking about now. Next one, Toby Couchman. And the Couch is interesting. So he's been pumping out some big numbers, very big minutes here. Noteworthy in round 2 that he was named on the bench and then came on and played 62 straight minutes in that game. So his role is pretty solid, even if he's on the bench. The Dragons have brought in a few interesting players. So Egan is getting his run this week. We've also got David Clemmer making his first, start for the Dragons as well. So coming off the bench, but I don't know if that's going to stay that way at round 1. For Couchman, 581K, I think it's now or never. So if you want to get him right now, he's priced at that 42. I think he could be a low 50s guy. So that is 10 points of value. He's an absolute PPM machine. If he plays less minutes, I feel like the PPM increases as well. I think he's a rock solid option. And if it makes sense for your team, get him, but don't destroy your team to do it. And where I sort of draw the line is I don't love the idea of going Tom Gilbert to Couchman, for example. I just sort of feel like it's a bit sideways. Alex Seyfarth to Couchman. These types of trades, I don't think they're getting you the upside that's worth the trade. But going Couchman from someone else who's maybe a failing gun or, Ione or one of these types of players, I definitely pay that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd downgrade a gun for him. I think I'd upgrade someone who's already made their cash or isn't making any more cash. I just think his upside is 60 minutes and 50 to 55 points. So it's 10 to 12 points of upside. But I think there's more chance that kind of falls. There's a game where he plays 55 minutes but misses a few tackles, or there's a lot of breaks in gameplay and he scores 35, 40, so it ruins his money making. I think he's a very attractive option right now, but I wouldn't be moving the stars in the sky to get him in.
Yep, agree with that. Very solid option there. Then Jaden Campbell, I'll throw him to you because look, I actually had a chat with a few of the guys today. All 5 members of the Casual Athlete production crew have Jaden Campbell. Every single one of us started with him. He's the one guy we're united on. Absolutely killed it last week. Do you think he can maintain the rage going into this season?
I think he's pretty much the Hines of a couple of years ago. I wasn't a full believer the whole preseason. I was on Brimson. I thought it was better value, but I switched to Jaden Campbell after I saw the articles saying, Brimson and Jaden Campbell were just both talking about how Jaden's got an underrated kicking game, and it sounded like he'd be taking a bar for the long kicks. And then one of our production crew, watched the trial closely, and it seemed that any clearing kick, it was Jaden Campbell, and all of Brimson's kicks were little grubbers or chips or bombs. So that was enough for me. I think the statistics and base stats, like the 599 kick meters this week, like what more do you need to see? He averaged 57 playing at 6 last year on about 150 meters. You add 300 kick meters onto that, it's 10 points. It could be a high 60s average. Should be more goals this year just because Titans are a better team. So he could average 70 plus this year. I'm not saying he will. And he's averaging 64 right now. And game 1 we saw it was like a mid-40s score. But all the signs are great. I think Cleary has kind of come off a bit in the last couple of seasons, and so has Hines. There's no reason Jaden Campbell can't be the number 1 scoring half and scoring fullback. So it's pretty much a no-brainer to me. Unless he gets injured, could be the cheapest you get him all year. I would be prioritizing Jaden Campbell over Toby Couchman, that's for sure.
Yeah, he is nuclear. The other thing too, that first game, I watched that very closely, and he was just sort of playing that pure steering 7 role. Last 20 minutes of that game, he sort of woke up and started to attack, which is really good to see. But this most recent game, they dominated the Knights. They totally shut them down. And that's a bit that excites me. It's working for the Titans, what they're doing, right? They're shutting teams down. His kicking game is it kept Newcastle in their end. And it's led to a big win there, which is a win that the Titans haven't had many of, like 26-6. That's not a scoreline you associate with the Gold Coast. So improvements to their forward pack and improvements to their half play based on Jaden Campbell have led to this result, which makes me think that the coaching staff will keep doing what they're doing because it's working. The other thing with Jaden Campbell, yeah, you go.
I was just going to say on that, there was some instances that caused some concern. Like there was a couple of really bad attacking kicks that led to 7 tackle sets, like chips and bombs that were just easily non-contested, caught in goal for 20-meter restarts. I just assume he'll improve over time. And the faith that gives me today is Keeney gone. They've kept Jaden Campbell at 7 rather than move him to 1 or Brimson at 1. So they locked him into that role. I don't think Foran comes back in 5-6 weeks or wherever it is and takes that role back. Like I think they're pretty holding the bullet with Jaden Campbell and Brimson in the halves.
Yep, I agree with that. And look, the other part is because what you're saying about improvement is important. The attacking game is improving as well. So as he gets more comfortable with the 7 role, the attack will come more and more, and he'll run that more of that support and just go back to that attack. And he scored that try in that game, but 70 run meters isn't astronomical for Campbell. I think that will increase over time as well. So, yeah, super stoked to have him. The big question though would be: do you sell Nathan Cleary to get Jaden Campbell? And without going too deep, because we will go into Cleary in the hold section, I would not make that trade at all. Like it's close to a straight swap, and getting rid of Cleary is just not a move I want to make.
No, I mean you've already lost money in Cleary. If I'm swapping him, I get the argument Cleary for Haas. I do get it. I don't get the argument for Cleary to anyone else.
Spot on. Pappenhausen now, and I put a little medical icon there because I was chatting to Xeon in the Discord, who shot me a few screenshots. Dealing with a rolled ankle is the concern. Was with the rehab group, I believe, earlier in this week. Should be okay for next week, is what I've heard. But just keep an eye on that. That's my early warning to you. If you do go Pappenhausen, you have to be ready for potentially something like that. You know, Suafe Alongo is always on the extended bench, but it's worth noting he's still there. So with Pappenhausen, that's the risk. But the upside is that he's got goal kicking. And at Melbourne, the goal kicking is worth 8 to 10 points a week. So
maybe more. They've got a really good draw as well. So maybe more.
Yep. Mate, could be anything, right? And then you got the attacking play sort of leaning towards him as well. Like they use him so aggressively. No Jerome Hughes. I don't think that hurts Pappenhausen too much. Like I think their attack's still going to be good with Wishart in there. So I love the idea of getting Pappenhausen. I just can't make the money work to go Yong into Pappenhausen with the other trades I want to make. But keen to hear your thoughts. Are you looking at targeting this guy?
I just honestly like Payne Haas is my number one target this week, and I'm only considering ways to get him. A crazy thought passed my head is that you move down Ponga to Pappenhausen to make money, but I mean I'm not going to do it. But some people are thinking it. I don't. I think he could average 50 plus over this period, but he also can have games where he just doesn't have the attacking stats. And I mean, even last week with a couple of goals was only a mid-30s, but his draw is fantastic. And I think Melbourne just looked like an absolute weapon of a team this year. So definitely not a bad option at all. 4 to 6 weeks of goals, you can make a couple 100K pretty quickly.
Yeah, the draw is a big thing. I will say in that game too, you mentioned a couple of goals. He had the try and the try assist as well. And still scored that 36. So yeah, not great in terms of base stats. And then Herbie Farnworth, I've got to mention this, right? Because we're talking about center options. A lot of people are excited about Bo Firma. If I was going for a center, I'd probably pot up with Herbie Farnworth. And looking at him, it's crazy to say because he's so expensive. He's averaging 62 points this year with 1 try in 3 games. Objectively hasn't played his best footy. 62 average. Like he is just far and away the best center in fantasy. It's probably more of a pod than anything, but if you had too much money to spend, you could look at this. I guess I just look at the list now and I think, oh, well, if you're going to spend that much, 200K extra, go to Haas. Or I can't imagine how you'd have money for Herbie Farnworth here, but he's an option that you definitely shouldn't write off.
No, I think we talked about him in the preseason that he had the best average for a center in a long time. But the thing is, he kept it on in the preseason and in the internationals last year. Like he scored 80 and 90 playing for England last year. Like, this guy's just a fantasy beast. He does everything. He runs around the field. He offloads. He bust tackles. He score tries. He tackles well. Definitely probably the best pure play center in fantasy I've ever seen that's not kind of playing second row or fullback or whatnot. Like I can't think of a better center that actually plays center. So yeah, a great pod option.
And we'll stay at center. He's a pure center.
Yeah, I mean he could score 100 any given week, I think. So yeah,
he's a monster. Now, some guys here who I think are mirages, and I've just put them onto one screen here. So Desert Island, you're sort of seeing things that aren't there. I think all these guys are being a bit over prioritized as buy options right now. I'm going to speak to them, and then I'm going to get your thoughts here because I know you're a bit more interested in Suo Wong and maybe a couple of these other guys. But for mine, Adam Reynolds has been a 50 average guy for his entire career. He's pumping out a big score set over the first 3 weeks, but I've backed him to bounce back to normal. Suo Wong, I'm a bit frightened of the fact that Nat Butcher's back on the bench, that Lindsay Collins is back on the bench. We might see Radley go back to the edge spot. Like I think Saw Wong's days of 80 minutes were very short-lived, and I don't think they're going to continue. Ruben Garrick, he's great, just because he scored 90 doesn't mean you target him. I'm not targeting him this week as much as he will score well against Parramatta. Not a guy you need to tear your team apart to go get. And then Mulatalo, another one, just a big score. He'll have some low scores too. Trey Mooney's the last one. He will fade back into oblivion, I would expect, as Canberra get all their players back. So Smithy's back next week. Hosking back relatively soon as well. Tarpanay came back this week. He's going to be pretty irrelevant. But can you get your thoughts here, Biz? Are you disagreeing with any of these guys, or are you leaving them on the island?
Leaving them all on the island except Suo Wong, as you mentioned. I'm still considering him. I just think that he was their highly touted junior guy coming up, had some big games in his rookie season. Last year didn't go great for him. I think he's playing pretty well on the edge. He has defensive lapses at times, which Robbo won't mind. I think if Roosters had won last week, I'd feel safer. But given that they've lost a couple of games, had that miracle win against Penrith, I personally don't see it. Like, they've just got too many guys who can eat minutes. Obviously, you mentioned Butcher and Collins, but there's guys like Steep and Fiketti who are edge back rollers as well. I don't know. Victor Radley got 60 minutes last week. Is Radley the one to lose minutes, or is it Wong? Was Radley last week coming off injury, but I think it's going to be Wong in the long run, and Wong really needs 80 minutes to be worth it at this price. So I'm not ruling it out. I have to look at the rotation that I expect and the bench and make a call. At this stage, I'm leaning against it, but everyone else I'm comfortable leaving on the island. Wong could be the one that got away if you don't act right now.
I've got to do an animation for a boat leaving the island with Saw Wong on it and you there too. But let's jump into the cheapies then. So interesting list here: Kautoga, De Groot, Jenkins, Egan, and Paddy. I think this list here, by the way, has such enormous upside, but every single one of them is laden with risk. So this is a group that I'm really excited about. I'm probably more excited about this group than I was about last week's group, actually. Kautoga first. I'll talk about him. He would have played 80 minutes in that game against the Bulldogs, if not for a HIA, which he passed. So looking like he might be an 80-minute back rower. PPM was okay. He dropped off some points towards the end of the game. Like, he was in a 40 plus, 65 minutes in, but then sort of dropped some points at the end, which knocked his score down. So I think he could be someone who averages 40 plus in that role. We know he has an offloading game. If Parramatta can start attacking a bit, you add that on as well. He's got a bit of a defensive work rate. Just was a weird game for Parramatta, but he's a guy who I think is priority number one. And even with the risk that Parramatta do change their team, he gets dropped, whatever it is, his upside is that he's a starting back rower who was slated for 80 minutes all preseason that you can put at your center spot. Can't ignore that.
Yeah, I will say I did a deep dive analysis into him for my team last week. And I didn't love what I saw. Okay, he had a good work rate this week. But when I was looking at his cup stats, he had games where it was like 8, 10, 12 points in 80 minutes. And his scoring profile...
At second row?
Yep, at second row. And his scoring profile really reminded me of Jack Kazewski. It was kind of like he averaged in the low mid-30s. And that was on the back of games where he had attacking stats where he'd score 45, 50, and then other games where he'd just be kind of in the low 20s. So I'm not 100% sold on that. I mean, Parramatta are like the spoon team this year, sadly, so it's not like he could just leverage onto other players in the team. I mean, Moses coming back would help, but Parramatta have a lot of edges. None of them are playing well, but they have a lot of edges. They've got Dury playing in the middle. They've got Jack Williams, who started on the edge. They've got obviously Lanes back. Cardi and Madison are nowhere to be seen. They could play edge. Kalma Tulangi is kind of just plodding away in New South Wales Cup. Guymer was playing on the edge. So job security is very poor. But you're right. I mean, he scored 38 odd in 67 minutes on the back of 27 meters gained. But I think he touched the ball once in about the first half.
No runs in 50 minutes.
Yeah, so I don't know how much I love this. I don't. The only one thing going for him is that he was highly touted in the preseason as a Riles guy. And if he wasn't injured for week one, he would have definitely started, in my opinion, opposite Kelma. And Jack Williams would have played middle. So they like him. I think unless he has some good games, his spot is at risk. So he's one I'll have to think about carefully.
I get what you're saying. And the Jezewski comparison really hurt me. But if Ben Travojevic was 279K, I'd buy him right now. Right?
Yeah.
And if you put Kautoga in that same basket, I feel all right about it. The fact that he was in there for such big minutes as well, and the fact that he was the guy like pre-round one, I feel good about it. But the other part of this that I look at is Sean Lane is viewed as a middle forward at Parramatta. So I think if they're going to move someone to make space for another edge back row, it's probably going to be Sean Lane. And Lane's had a few weeks in there. He's looked pretty terrible as well. So
A few weeks, you mean a few years?
I mean, he came back in round 2, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's I'm higher on him, Kautoga. I think I just liked a bit of what I saw there. Like it's hard with Parramatta, but I can't go past the profile. So yeah, keen to see how that one plays out. Are you more keen on Jalen de Groot than over Kautoga if you're buying someone at that price?
The Groot's really interesting because obviously he's a placeholder for Keeney, but the fact that Keeney's seeing a neck specialist, you don't see a specialist unless you're really worried about it. And you don't mess with a young guy's neck. Like we saw with Carl Oloapu, saw a neck specialist and then career's kind of on hold, right? Like it's very risky in young guys, especially these smaller guys. Keeney loves contact. Like he's one of the bravest small guys I've seen. Like he looks for contact. He looks to get tackled. I obviously monitor the situation through the week. There's a chance Keeney's out indefinitely. And in this high-speed attacking Titans team, I'd want a piece of it at 300K for sure. So if I make the call that I think Keeney will be out for a while, I'm definitely considering de Groot this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. De Groot's an exciting option if that happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen to Keeney though. Obviously, as a footy fan, I love watching Keeney play. So hopefully he's all good. But yeah, that's not a terrible trade. Like as someone who has Payne Haas already, it is a trade pair that I've considered. Just going, Duffy to Kautoga and then going another cheapie to de Groot and just beefing up the cash making potential and putting them in loopholes and sort of working it out that way. But he is an exciting option, similar to Thomas Jenkins here as well. I want to talk about this one because Jenkins has been named at the center spot for Penrith. What we've seen is Paul Alamotti go to the wing, Casey McLean in the 18th man jersey, and Dane Laurie obviously back at fullback. So based on that, if Casey McLean is fully fit, which I think he is, then it means that Jenkins has won the spot on merit there. Now, he's won the spot over Casey McLean, but the risk there is that if they want to move Alamotti back to center, Jenkins then has to compete with Dane Laurie as well for that wing spot because Dane Laurie could easily slide into that wing spot as when Dylan Edwards comes back too. So there's just a few moving pieces here, but at 256K for a guy who has had some pretty good fantasy outings, by the way, and started the year hot in New South Wales Cup this year, you could make worse bets than Thomas Jenkins, especially since he wasn't crash hot at fullback, but for a guy who'd never played fullback before, he did a job in a team that really stood up. So as time goes on, I'm more and more keen on this idea, especially at the price point he's at.
Yeah, I mean, Penrith centers are always a gem. Thomas Jenkins has shown that he scores really well when he plays for Penrith. And they've kind of rushed him back and put him straight in the team. Like they only got him from Newcastle, like 2 weeks ago? So they've gone and got him back and they've rushed him straight back in. They must really love him. There's a lot of options to potentially play fullback last week. And Jenkins is probably the one I was lowest expecting. So I like Jenkins. I think he's won the spot on merit for sure. And Panthers have a decent run over the next few weeks. I can see him scoring pretty well. So I would have Jenkins over de Groot over Kautoga at this stage.
Yeah, I'd love to find a way to get him in. 56. Wing fullback as well. A lot of people need a wing fullback right now. He should get that center eligibility if he stays there till round 7. So it could be a wing fullback center duel. Very interesting option. I've got him ahead of de Groot and slightly behind Kautoga right now, but it could change as we go through the week. Dylan Egan's another one to talk about here. So the appeal of Dylan Egan is if you can make a 2 trade to get to Haas and you don't have to sell 2 guns, but you need a 230K player, he's probably the guy that you target at that price point. Now, I've got him behind Owen Paddy in my rankings. So if you can stretch to 243, go to Paddy. I've got him well behind Jenkins. So if you can stretch to 256, definitely go Jenkins. But Dylan Egan's a guy who he's sort of been around the club for a long time. He was elevated to New South Wales Cup last year where he played almost every minute. In New South Wales Cup, he was 3rd in the entire competition for tackles made, and he was 1st at St. George, right? So tackle machine, plays big minutes, a guy who's been elevated to the top 30 squad more recently as well. He's a guy who will at some point in the future of the Dragons have a significant role. So that's the upside there, and that base price, that's very attractive. But the downside here is that you've got Tom Eisen, who's on the extended bench, who at any given moment, the same as Blake Laurie as well on that bench too, could slide back into the team. Eisenhuth was good last year. Like, I know people don't want to see Eisenhuth come back because it hurts Hamish Stewart, it hurts Dylan Egan. But from a pure footy sense, if I was picking the Dragons team, I'd pick Eisenhuth 100%. And he probably takes a lot of these, smaller middle forward minutes that we've seen some cash cows absorbing. So he is a big threat to a lot of the players we talk about. Dylan Egan not excused by that.
Yeah, I think with Dylan Egan, like nothing more to add. I think you can just wait a week, like because it's his first score. He's not going to jump too much in price. You can see whether they're going to use him for big minutes. So I suspect there's also a very high chance they use him for 20, 30 minutes. So, like I have Riley Smith in my team as a slow burn cash cow that I expect to more fruit in the middle of the season. Dylan Egan could be the same. So, and it's the same with the next guy, like Owen Paddy. I think he's going to be a slow burn. Like Starling's played really well this year, and as a Starling owner, I love it. I think the thing with the Canberra Raiders last week is they got pumped. So at that point, there was no point keeping Starling on the field. He played 10, 15 minutes less than normal, and they just gave Paddy an extra run. Like the game was dusted. It was 40-0 at the time. I think Paddy kind of sticks with, like he scored 37 points in 25 minutes or something. Like that's not sustainable PPM. I think he's just going to be a low 20s, even high teens guy for the foreseeable future. I just think Starling's playing too well. If Starling was kind of having the seasons that we usually see where, he's a chance of being dropped any given week, or it was Danny Levi, I'd be higher on Paddy, but I think you can just avoid him for now.
I will say one thing, Starling got run straight over for one of those tries, like absolutely steamrolled. And I saw that and thought, I'm going to watch the minutes this week, and they did drop off. Maybe it's that. Paddy's a bit more of a sturdy defender, big defensive work rate for a hooker as well. Got the kicking game too. Like, I don't know. I'm probably a little bit higher on Paddy than you, but I do agree it's a slow burn. I just think Paddy will take more and more as the year goes on. And I'd love to find a way to get him in, but he just doesn't have as much upside as someone like Thomas Jenkins at a similar price point. Moving through the pods, and these are some fun options. So we're getting out of getting into the crazy ones now. Anyone who's tuning along, by the way, these are the crazy options here. We'll get into hold and sell options next. But for the pods, any of these, actually, let's just take whichever ones we want to talk about here. So I'll throw to you first, Biz. Who's one of these that you really want to talk on?
I'll talk about Isaiah Katoa. We'll start with him. I think he's kind of elevating every season he plays. I think definitely down the track, there's going to be a season where he's like 55, maybe even a 60 average player. Like he's showing that progression that you want. Is this the year? I don't know. He's kind of he's averaging 53, 54 already. He's not going gangbusters. It's not like he's having a career season on the field where everyone's like, wow, Isaiah Katoa, like he's finally broke out. He's just statistically building up year in, year out. 633K, murky halves this year. Like there's no clear winners in the halves other than maybe Jaden Campbell, and we've seen clearance stuff do good. But like, in terms of the mid-range halves, everyone was talking about in the preseason, like a Munster, Luai, Galvin, Burden. Like these guys aren't really performing. So you could back it and go for someone like Katoa. So yeah, that's the story with him. He's very low ownership. Could be a fun one to ride. I think he has some big games ahead of him when he scores tries and has a lot of attacking stats. So yeah, he's an interesting one.
Good base with the run meters there too. I'll talk about Sexton here, who's a bit of a different option. So Matt Burton is due back in round 7, which means you've got 3 more weeks of Toby Sexton. He set the record last week for kick meters. Just absurd. And there was 2 things I want to talk about there. First one is he was really the only half in the team. So Hayward was more of a tackling, creating 6 as opposed to being a genuine sort of co-half. So Sexton was doing all the kicking there. The other thing is the Bulldogs forward pack wasn't making many meters, and they can be accused of being an undersized forward pack, and I think they do struggle against some of the bigger forward packs. So I could see that happening again and again, and Sexton pumping out 30 points in kick meters, maybe not 30, but 25 points off kick meters more often than not. So you then rely on him just grabbing a few other stats. And last week he didn't have too many. You got 32 from kick meters, and you got another 20 in other areas. So you got the 52, but if you think he can stack on a couple of other stats, which he has in the past when he's played in this role, he could potentially stack up a couple of 60s here for you. The downside is that the Dogs won't play Parramatta every week, so I think they're going to struggle in some of these games coming up. So that's where I think Sexton might struggle. But at 514K, could be a smash and grab in terms of cash generation. So I don't hate this one at all.
Yeah, I think he gets round 5 and 4, 5, 6, so 3 more games as a sole half before Burton comes back round 7. Don't hate it. Next guy I'll go for David Fifita, just running down the list. It's interesting. He scored 39 odd with a try. It seemed like the plan for him was to tuck it in his hands and just run a bit more rather than look to offload or run sideways or anything. I think Fifita's a guy like he'll get. It's just when are you going to time it? When do you predict the big score? Is it next week? Is it the week after? Are they going to keep using him in this 50-minute role? Because if that, I think you have to make a call. When do you think he's going to return to 70, 80 minutes? And you're going to get him that week before everyone else because he could bust out a big score, and you don't want to be chasing that score. So that's all there is to it. If you think Fifita is going to start or come play 65 to 80 minutes this week, then get him ASAP. Otherwise, just keep watching.
Yeah, he's a firm wait for me. But as soon as we see that sign, I'm with you there completely. He's a guy who can get to 800K very, very realistically. And the Titans are playing good footy, so he should be a good one this year. Similar talent here, so Brendan Piakura will get to 800K at some point in his career as well. I'm fairly certain of it. Whether it's this year or this decade is another question. But Piakura is down to 282K. Beers, I'm keen to get your barometer on sort of ice cold versus scorching hot. How excited are you for the day that Piakura gets named to start over Jezewski when we can finally buy him?
When he gets named, pretty hot. I think at 250 to 280K if he's starting. He's not a great scorer, but he does have flash in the pan games where he scores 60. Sorry, he's a great scorer. But he'll be a 20, 30 guy, but he does have a 50, 60 in him because he can bust tackles and score a try. To be fair, so can Gazewski, 2 tries in 3 games, right? Funnily enough, Jack Gazewski in 80-minute games at second row scores 0.6 tries a game, which I got to say is a lot. For a second rower, cops a lot of flack. That's a lot. He is a try scoring second rower. Anyway, I think Piakura played more minutes than Jack G last week. So that trend continues. I think even if he's playing 45, 50 minutes, he's one you could grab. I think it's only a matter of time till Piakura takes it back. So maybe not this week, but he could be in next week.
Yeah, eyes up on him. Pure cash cow up to stratosphere. So excited one to watch. And then Spencer Leniu, you asked for him to be on the list, so I might throw him to you. I'm guessing it's just about the minutes and the role that seems to be evolving.
Yeah, so no Warrior Hargreaves this year. So Leniu has to be that sole enforcer. A lot of their forwards are, Angus you could argue for, but a lot of them are more kind of workers and, more grit and heart. Leniu is just all out. We saw what he did in Origin last year. He's an absolute weapon. 55 minutes last week. Potentially a career high for him or close to it. One thing I have noticed is that Leniu's PPM drops off significantly the longer he plays, but this was good signs where he busted 5 or 6 tackles, made a lot, only 110 meters. So there's upside for a lot more there. If he's playing 55 minutes, he should be running for 150 plus, in my opinions. But if you compare his career trajectory to someone like Adam Fanua-Blake, maybe Fanua-Blake in his first few years, lower minutes, kind of spotty, some attacking games, work rate wasn't there. If he kind of follows that trajectory and becomes more of a watch me go, I'm leading from the front, because Collins is slowly fading away in my eyes. He just hasn't played that well outside of Origin. So if it's Leniu's pack now, then he could be a smoky to average 45, 50 at that price point.
I like that. I like that a lot, especially if Nat Butcher goes back to lock, like you said, because he's that more creative working lock. Leniu as well, he's been signed to do that. They signed him for that intention. When they first brought Leniu across, they talked about increasing his minutes. So this is definitely part of the plan. Just a case of whether he can handle it. And it was probably a good test last week up against Mitch Barnett and Jared Warrior-Hargreaves, because they're a pretty solid middle pair. But
you mean James Fisher-Harris? Yeah.
Sorry, yep, James Fisher-Harris.
Yeah, that's a tough pair. Yeah.
Similar roles though, but they're units. Even though Barnett doesn't play any minutes this year for some reason, but killer option. Then the holds here. So holds and sells is really interesting. There's a lot of guys right now where we're saying hold, but if it's the only way you get to Payne Haas, I get it. You can sell them. That's kind of my view on this. So first group here, Cam Munster, Harry Grant. They're both in my team, and it's been the bane of my existence. Going Grant and Munster over I don't know, let's say Garrick and Watson is the sole reason why I'm not in like the top 100. It would just be so much easier. But anyway, I've made that mistake. I think they bounce back though. And I think the only way you lock yourself in behind people is if you trade away from the players who have let you down. So I'm going to take a roll of the dice here and stick with both these guys. No Jerome Hughes for 2 weeks. You've got a pretty nice run of fixtures, like you mentioned before. Hopefully, Harry Grant doesn't run the ball 6 meters with Jerome Hughes out. Like, hopefully, we see him sort of have to step up, especially against St. George, who can leak a few points through the middle. And Cam Munster is a no-brainer. Like, he's been playing good footy in real life. It just hasn't translated to fantasy yet. So I feel okay about sticking with both these guys. I'm just hoping for that big attacking game. But one more game of Harry Grant running the ball for sub 40 meters, and I'll probably have to sell him.
I'm on like not just a hold. I think they're biased for me. Like Grant's dropped a lot of money. He's 680K. They've only you got to remember they've played 2 games. So the Grant case is pretty simple. Like the first game was against Parramatta. They put up 50 points. He didn't have to do anything. Like there was no tackling to be done. Like no one made tackles in that game because Parramatta didn't have the ball. And then last game was against 4-time premiers. So he's had 2 game scripts that were totally against him. Even like and Storm look really good. So I don't see why he can't average. Maybe he's not a 60-point player anymore, but he's definitely a 55-point player. Like the talent is too high. Like even if he's kind of plodding along, he's going to have a 70 game where he scores like a couple of tries or 80 game. Like it's going to happen. And at 682K, like it is a really juicy number. I think maybe one more price drop and I'm on him. And the case for Munster is simple. Like with Hughes gone, could like dominate kick meters again. Playing really well in real life, like you said, like 5 try assists in 2 games. Same game script. Like he was carving up Parramatta, and then they kind of let the foot off the gas towards the back end. Like he was at 45 at halftime, and then he didn't do much in the second half because Storm stopped caring. And then it was against Penrith last week. So really nice run of fixtures. I'm on both. I think Cleary as well. Like the next one isn't like I came into like I wanted a trade range after I saw Payne Haas score that try, and I was like, I'm going Cleary to Haas. I'm sick of it. But like if you think about it. If you think about the guns that are missing this week, Cleary, Watson, Ponga, they're all priced the same. They're all missing this week. So if you're going to get rid of one, if you could say, who would you rather have for the rest of the season? Cleary, Watson, Ponga. Cleary is number 1 by far. Like you want Cleary, so you're not selling Cleary. So if you're going to sell someone for Haas, sell Ponga, sell Watson, but don't sell Cleary. Like he's the one you want to keep the most. And he's the one who's dropped the most cash, whereas the other 2 have made cash. So you're kind of selling your losses. And Cleary has like beautiful fixtures next 2 weeks. So Cowboys, Dolphins, or whatnot. I don't know. So I'd keep Cleary.
Now this is where people overvalue break evens. So they go, "Oh, Cleary's got a high break even." Doesn't really matter. Like he's dropped the cash. He's going to drop. He's priced at 58. I view him as a 70 guy. Like, so he's 12 points of value. I don't really care if he drops off for 1 week or 2 weeks when he gets back. He's going to get back up in price. So it's a 1 week injury. There's no risk of re-injury. Like it's fine. If you've done a hamstring or something like that, I get it. Let's have that conversation. I'm selling guys with hamstring injuries. Like that's one of my golden rules. But for Cleary with a HIA, he's fine. He's good to stick with. That price is red hot.
Yeah, like 12 points undervalued, like you said. Watson's probably 5 points undervalued, and Ponga's now priced at like 57, and I think he's a 60 guy. So if you say it like that, Ponga's the one I'm selling who's missing this week. Only difference is, I guess, fullback is a bit of a difficult position this year, but with guys like Jalen DeGroot, Thomas Jenkins available, you could risk it. But I'm keeping Cleary. I'm keeping Walsh. In fact, I'm buying Walsh next week. I think Walsh, he's just had he's not going to score -2, maybe ever again in his career. He's Broncos look good. They look like they're playing really good attacking footy. It's going to come together. He's going to break out for a run of games. We saw the effort is there. The intent is there. Like people are just piling on Reece Walsh. He is a fantastic player. But you got to remember he's 22 and he's a very attacking focused player. So he's going to have games where he's trying too much. It's not going for him. But there are going to be days, I'm telling you now, like a 570K, would I rather Reece Walsh or Garrick? 100% I'm taking Reece Walsh, like any given time. Like, don't let the past couple of weeks fool you. This guy is a weapon, and I still think he could average mid-50s this year. Like he is going, I can guarantee there's going to be a run of, he's going to have a 5-game average of 65 at some point this season.
Yeah, I'm with you there completely. Good run of fixtures as well. I was considering it this week, vaguely. just because the Dolphins matchup is one that I like for him as well. I think he bounces back this round. I will mention too, last couple of weeks, 9 errors total in 2 weeks. Now, each of those areas is him trying to make a play that would have been an attacking stat if it came off. That's usually what's sort of happening there. So he's firing shots. He's going to keep firing shots. Like, he's a guy who does not lack confidence at all. And if he's not going to put it away, then some of those are going to come off eventually. The other thing is they've got Ben Hunt there. Like, they've added him into the equation as a more creative 6. So there's a lot of new pieces for them to figure out. And then you add Katoni Staggs on the edge as well, who is a force and basically demands a double team. So as Reece Walsh, if you're sort of sliding out and, sweeping around to that edge and you're looking at Katoni Staggs as your short ball option, he draws attention. Suddenly you can cut through. Or everyone jams in on you and suddenly you're throwing try assist to Katoni Staggs. So I think people are underestimating the effect that Katoni Staggs is going to have on opening space up for Reece Walsh. I do think waiting 1 week is a good play, though. So the break-even's in the mid-70s. He's probably not going to score in the mid-70s, probably. He's probably going to drop a little bit more cash. And then at that point, you bring him in 100%. A few people have mentioned, too, he hasn't scored over 80 in his career. So just keep that in mind. His ceiling isn't yet proven to be with the upper echelon of wing fullbacks, but maybe this is the year that breaks out. They've been a bit disjointed with the new combinations, but they seem to be coming together now for the Broncos.
Yeah.
If they want to talk about his... Yeah, you go. Yep.
I was just going to say the one argument for the never scoring 80 is that this trajectory is very similar to Turbo's in his first few years. Like Turbo's was a mid-40s to high 40s guys. And then he kind of crept as he got more experience. Like I said, Walsh is 22. His average is going to go up every year from here. And I think there is going to be a point where he kind of busts that ceiling you said and take the next step.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. And the fixtures are something to look at. I'm just on Cleary as well. I will say he's got 7 weeks, but he has a bye in round 11 and Origin in round 12. So I think with people who are selling Cleary, they're thinking about this week a lot. If you're selling Cleary, you're selling Cleary for the next 9 to 14 weeks, basically. Like, you're probably not going to get him back before Origin because you wanted to lose some cash. Okay, so you wait another 2 or 3 weeks. Then you have a 4-week window where you get him. Then you have to sell him for Origin anyway. Like, you're not going to buy him back for that window. So if you're a Cleary seller, like, you are selling him and you're basically saying, I'm not going to have Cleary until round 20, which it's not a bet I'm comfortable making. And I feel like you're in the exact same boat, Biz. I'll throw to you here. Gus Crichton or Connor Watson, which one of these guys are you keen to argue for or hold?
I'd rather hold. Oh, that's a tough one. I'd hold Angus just because he is a guy that he's playing this week. Has big scores in him.
Helps. Yeah.
And yeah, that helps. And I think edge is a hard position this year. Like there's a few mid-rangers that are doing okay, but a bit spotty. None of the guns are really stacking up. Like Hopgood's doing okay, but not great. Preston hasn't been as good as we hoped. Fafita's not gone that crazy. So I think you'd keep Angus because he's a guy you could keep all year. Connor Watson is a more murky prospect. Like he's going to miss this week. He's kind of made some cash already. Troops are coming back. Does he still play 80 minutes? Like he was playing 80 minutes because he was playing minutes at lock. But do they need him to play 20, 30 minutes at lock with Butcher back, Radley back? Hard to tell. So I would rather keep Angus over Watson. And it's a decision I have to actually make on Watson. I think Angus is a simple one. He hasn't had the attacking stats. He's trying really hard. And the Roosters will get better as Troops come back. So if you've kind of started the season with Angus, you got to stick with it. You can't give up now. Like his real life form is good. Like we've seen that over the last couple of years before his kind of re-breakout, like he's kind of fading in and out of games, but he's putting in all his effort. He's trying to offload. He's trying to attack. He's trying to put the team on his shoulders. It's going to come through for him. He's one again that I'm looking to buy soon. But Connor Watson is a harder decision. Like, especially for someone like Haas, mid to mid. I've got Starling and Mamazoulis at hooker. Like Watson is someone I could potentially trade away because he's still undervalued if he's getting 80 minutes, but is he going to get 80 minutes? He could go to 65, 70 minutes when he comes back. So, and then Roosters players, like I know this applies for Angus as well, but Roosters players miss a ton of time during the Origin period. They've got the least friendly bye schedule for Origin players. I think they miss 6 games or something. So he's probably arguably the one I would trade out.
Yep. Yeah, Watson for Haas makes tons of sense. I'll throw a hypothetical question at you. If you were someone who was short a wing fullback, would you go Watson to Jaden Campbell?
Eve,
Right, it's hard.
that's hard. I think Jaden Campbell is. I mean, I think I would. I think Jaden Campbell is as a weapon this year. And the thing you said is that you're short of a wing fullback.
Yeah,
I think Jaden Campbell is by far and away the best wing fullback this year. Only I think Latrell will challenge him, and then like no one else.
Yep, I agree. I think Watson's sellable, but don't kill yourself to sell him.
Not
Like, I think a lot
not
of
for the
people are
sake of
tearing
it.
the teams apart
Yeah,
to
yeah.
just make trades for the sake of it. And Watson's a guy you're going to want back in a couple of weeks. So as a non-owner, I've definitely felt that. Now the sells here, and a couple of these guys are orange. So I'm adding a new color here to indicate guys where it's like, I get it, you can sell them, but you don't have to sell them, right? AJ Brimson's the first one, and I kind of wanted to talk about him, and I just couldn't fit him into the holds. For me, he's someone who, as a non-owner, he's someone who I'm watching really closely as a potential buy in the future because his price is coming down. But I totally get it. Like if you could sell him for a fully fit Pappenhausen or for Walsh next week or something like that, I'd do it. But at the same time, he's been whiskers away from big attacking plays in the first two games he's played, and that would have changed his scores completely. So with Brimo, I think the upside's there, and I think he could bounce back. But I am okay with people selling him, especially on the back of that 13-point game.
I'm on the flip side. Like I'm buying. Like at this price, I'm buying. Next week, I'm buying. Like, if I didn't have Haas to get this week, I'd be buying Brimson. He's a guy that like he's not going to be a consistent scorer, but there's runs of like he'll kind of do 50, 60, and we've seen that. Like he averages 47 playing at 6.
Yeah.
Titans are like the best they've been in a long time. I don't know why you'd be selling at 446. In fact, if I think about it, like next week, if it's almost a straight swap from someone like Mark Nawanganiwase or Shibasaki to Brimson, like 100% in a heartbeat, I think Brimson's a guy who could get to 600, 650K pretty quickly. And he's a guy that can get away from you fast. You have to get him in before the big score. Otherwise, other people will just chase. And like you just got to, this is like just a brave play. Like when people are selling, you got to be buying. And I think if it's not in my team this week, he's in my team next week.
He's a big Brimson guy. Are you concerned about, so a few things we talked about, everything for Campbell is kind of against Brimson. So 7 missed tackles last week against Newcastle side that was totally dominated and shut down, right? So in a game where they locked up the opposition, he missed 7 tackles. He had sub 100 run meters and he had next to no kick meters as well. Gave away some penalties for some reason, but like statistically, it's not making a lot of sense. I get what you're saying, like because the fixtures are really good. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm really happy I don't own him because I was actually kind of interested in the preseason as well, just like you. If you could make a trade that got you to Haas, right? So let's say you were someone who held Lucas last week and you could sell Brimson for Jenkins and then Lucas for Haas. Like trades like that, I'm getting sent a lot of those. In those cases, I'm pretty for selling Brimson. As much as he does have the upside, he hasn't really shown it so far. And if you can get yourself to someone who really makes sense, then do it. That's why he's orange, right? Like I'm not desperately tearing apart my team to sell him, but if you can do something that makes sense for you, I'm open to it. But look, it'll be interesting to see. Are you thinking he bounces back this week? They've got a pretty good matchup this round. Like, are you thinking 50 plus?
Yeah, I'm saying 40 plus this week. I think and 40 plus this week, 60 plus around the corner. He didn't have a shot in the first 2 games, but he did score a 67 or 69 odd in the preseason with 2 tries. And I think games like that I think those kind of games are going to be. He scores tries for fun, and it's going to come together. It's going to be one of these cases you're going to sell him, and then next week he scores 60, and you're sad. So like I mean, unless he's the only clear option to sell. Like I wouldn't be selling him.
Would you sell him before Gilbert or Seyfarth?
Like sell Gilbert and Seyfarth first. Sell Gilbert, then sell Seyfarth, then sell Brimson.
Okay, it's a huge call. I'd probably try to keep those guys for the dual position flexibility, but interesting. Okay, keen to see how that plays out. Isaiah Yongi's next, and I'll let you open this one up. Do you think he's someone that people should persist with, or is it a case of Parramatta too bad, Yongi goodbye?
He's 340K. He's kind of scored a couple of 30s. He's fine. He's not worth moving. Unless you if you trade him down to a 250K player, you're probably getting another 30 guy anyway. Like, what's really the point? I think Yongi only gets better as the season goes on, and Moses comes back, and Parramatta slowly figure it out, if at all. They might not, but I think Moses coming back will help a lot. But yeah, I'm not selling him at 340k. Like if he was 400k, I'd sell him. But at 340 to make 60, 70k, what's really the point? He'll score the same as those guys, and you're wasting a trade. So I think Yongi's a pretty easy hold for me.
I will say, I was looking at this because I was sort of off him after watching the game, and then I thought about it earlier today, and I thought, all right, Yongi to De Groot. Oh yeah, that's interesting. And I looked at it more closely and just thought that makes 40k. And De Groot has no job security. Yongi has job security. Yongi has shown some attacking capability. He has rock solid job security. Like he'll keep turning up. But again, I'm okay with like if you're say 80k short of a certain trade and you could go Yongi to Jenkins or something like that. I'm not against it.
Yeah,
And that's why he's orange. Like these are guys that I'm okay with you selling if it helps you do something, but you're not tearing your team apart to get rid of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that because that could be me. I haven't investigated fully, but I think I need about 80k to go, say, from a Ponga to a Haas. I don't know where I'll get the money. It could be Yongi to Jenkins. It could be like Shibasaki down to Katonga, like whatever.
Shibasaki has good fixtures, man.
He's got good fixtures and he's got a low break even.
Sure.
It's tough. Like you got to make these calls. Like sometimes you got to lose a guy who's making money to get a guy you really need. So yeah, it's hard.
It's exciting. And we get into the the real easy sells now. Mitch Barnett, the minutes have been falling off a cliff recently, and points production was not good. 37 points. He is getting cheaper. At some point, he may go back to some minutes. So as a non-owner, I'm watching him closely. But if I did have him, I mean, I advised a lot of people last week to sell him for Payne Haas if they could. I'm going to say the same again. He's a guy you got to get rid of at this stage. Like you give him 2 or 3 weeks to have a look at. Hasn't been good. Time to move on, swallow the loss, and jump onto something better.
Yeah, and the same argument for Fisher Harris. Like we give him 2-3 weeks, his minutes keep going up. Barnett's don't. I don't really get it. Like they made him a captain this year.
Yeah.
I don't really understand. Like, if any Warriors fans know, let us know in the comments. But he's going to be a buy at some stage if he keeps dropping. Like surely they can't keep playing their guy 45, 50 minutes. He needs to be a 60, 70-minute guy, and he's shown that he can do that. He was played Origin last year. He beasted it. He was like maybe the best forward in the game last year. Very strange to me. Duffy is also, I think, a clear sell with so many cash cows. Like we talked about so many cash cows. Like Clifford actually played pretty well. I'd say this was the Cowboys' most competitive game. And Payton's just come out and said that they just prefer a big body that can make tackles. I mean, they rushed Clifford back in after he made 7 errors in New South Wales Cup. You might have seen our boy Miles or Bergs here. He's real about. He was crazy about. But like,
he's a big Cowboys fan.
Yeah, he didn't like it, but at the end of the day, Clifford 7 errors in Cup, and they still brought him in. Like it's just there's too many options this year to make cash. I wouldn't hold Duffy. Like just get it in.
I agree. Give it 1 week. That's what we did, and we had some other options to move last week. It's not going to happen. Move him on. And Stefano's the last one, and I've had a lot of people talking to us about still having Stefano. I think you can sell him here. I mean, it's tough because that price point is not a good price to sell someone at. But Stefano, it seems like he's slowly working his way into minutes. I think he'll have a breakout game where he does score a try soon. I think the minutes will increase over time, but it's just going to be too spotty and too inconsistent at a middle forward position that has been so red hot to start the year. So that's what I'd say. Sell him. If we didn't have such a hot middle forward spot, I might say persist, but because it's been so good, you just can't hold on to him.
Would you do Stefano to Couchman?
Yeah, like confidently, happily. And Stefano might outscore Couchman on the back of a try or something this week, but I think Couchman's easily sort of 10 points better right now.
Yeah, don't disagree. I mean, I think it would be a bit sideways, so I wouldn't do it, but that's why, I mean, I still think Stefano, like, it's just kind of a clog that's not doing much for 560k. It's a bit too awkward for me. He's an option to upgrade to us. He's an option to downgrade to like a cashier as well. So he's kind of neither here nor there. So yeah, I'd be pretty happy selling him at this point. In saying that, I'll make the counter argument, like good run of fixtures coming. Storm look fantastic. He will have some big games. And if you've got him, you want to be on him for the 70, right? So like, if you don't, it's like what we talked about Connor Watson. If you really don't, like, I wouldn't sell him for the sake of selling him. I'd sell him if there's players you must get, like a Haas or something, like someone similar to that. Then trade him, but like don't trade him for the sake of it.
I don't know. If you're short a wing fullback and you were going Pappenhausen this week for him, pretty much a straight swap, I'm okay with that. I think Couchman is a 10-point upgrade. That's worth a trade to me. Like, I reckon he's stinking it up too much. The minutes are too low. We can say all these things about what we think will happen, but in reality, what we've seen is really low minutes from him, even in a team where Nelson hasn't played many minutes at all, right? So it's been a great scenario for him so far. They had a soft game against Parramatta round 1 where if it was meaningless, they would have given him minutes to get match fitness. And they had a tough game again in round 3 against Penrith where if he was the guy, they would have given him big minutes. So he just sort of hasn't gotten the minutes regardless, which makes me think, and we said this all preseason, that he's just going to be warmed into it. I think he might be a buy in like round 7 because he's not playing well enough to make Origin, and he'll be cheap, right, by then.
Yeah, nothing more to add. You're right.
Hang on, mate. That's buy, hold, sell. Done and dusted for this week. So, look, let's both hit it with our summaries here. But for me, I'm thinking that targeting guys like Couchman, Pappenhausen at that price is pretty interesting. If you don't have Haas, you have to go to Haas, obviously. At the cheapy price point, there's guys like Kautoga. There's cheaper guys like Jenkins, De Groot, if there's bad news about Keeney. Like, there's a lot of options you can target here. And in terms of sells, you'd have to go with your gut on this, because if you sell someone that you really deep down feel like they'll bounce back, you'll regret it forever when they do. But if you think a guy's done and dusted, you might as well just make that move early. So you don't always have to make the correct fantasy move. You can sometimes just make the move that is sort of you backing your gut. So that's my advice this week. Is there any last words from you?
Oh, beautiful words, Long. I have nothing more to say.
Oh, beautiful. All right. Well, good luck this week, guys. Let us know what your trades are in the comments, and we'll see you on the next video.